In episode 60, titled Report Incidents Promptly and Properly, we focus on meeting reporting obligations with speed, accuracy, and discretion so stakeholders can take timely action without speculation filling the gaps. An incident report is not an autopsy. It is a calibrated status signal that tells sponsors, agencies, providers, and customers what is known, what is uncertain, and what will happen next. Done well, reporting preserves freedom of maneuver for responders and establishes credibility for later findings. The rule of thumb is simple. The first communication should arrive early enough to shape decisions, specific enough to be useful, and modest enough to stay inside the facts of the moment. That balance turns tense hours into a structured sequence: notify, contain, verify, and update, while leaving room for deeper technical analysis as the investigation matures. Clear triggers remove hesitation, so organizations should define the specific conditions that require notification to agencies and internal stakeholders before alarms are blaring. Triggers can rest on data classification, affected populations, system criticality, or observable adversary behavior. But they need plain language thresholds that a duty officer can apply under pressure. A useful pattern distinguishes between informative heads-up notices and formal breach declarations, each with different timing and audiences. Another differentiator is impact scope. Events confined to a single, non-critical environment may merit internal tracking only, while indications of credentials at risk for production tenants cross the line into external notification. When triggers are codified, decisions become repeatable. The same kind of event today and 6 months from now prompts the same predictable communication path, which is exactly what oversight bodies expect. Approved channels and contact matrices are the infrastructure of secure communications, and they work only when they are current, practiced, and trusted. An organization's matrix should name primary and alternate contacts for agencies, upstream providers, and downstream customers, listing escalation windows and secure delivery options. Sensitive exchanges should rely on pre-agreed mechanisms, encrypted mailboxes, dedicated portals, or incident bridges, rather than improvised threads that scatter context and expose details. Internally, the same discipline applies. A known incident room, a fixed bridge, and a single record of decisions prevent competing narratives. By leaning on these channels, responders preserve confidentiality, limit off-path disclosures, and ensure that all official statements carry the same facts to every audience, a hallmark of professional incident management. In early notices, restraint is strategic. Share facts only: what happened, when it was detected, the scope understood so far, and the mitigations already in effect or underway. Even when pressure mounts, resist forecasting root cause or attributing motive. Early speculation becomes later contradiction and undermines confidence. Concrete signals carry more weight than adjectives. Privileged token minted from an anomalous source at 0214 UTC. Impacted tenant sessions revoked by 026 UTC tells a crisp story without guesswork. Indicate the next checkpoints, planned retests, log harvest milestones, or third-party coordination calls so recipients know when to expect more. Brief, factual notes build a trustworthy timeline, which is precisely what sponsors and agencies need to coordinate their own actions. Preserving evidence and timelines is both an investigative necessity and a compliance obligation. Collection efforts should snapshot volatile data first process lists, network connections, in-memory credentials, then broaden to system logs, application traces, identity events, and change histories. Chain of custody matters. Recording who captured what, when, and using which tools allows later reviewers to accept the artifacts without relitigating their provenance. Timestamps should carry declared time zones and clock sources so separate systems reconcile. This discipline prevents lost hour debates and enables tight replication during retests. Evidence preservation is not a delay tactic. It is a stabilizer that allows containment to proceed with confidence that the organization can explain how conclusions were reached when agencies, auditors, or courts eventually ask. Speed improves dramatically when pre-drafted templates and approval paths exist before the incident. Templates do not force a script. They provide a scaffolding that frees responders to think. A strong template contains fields for time of detection, affected systems, identity indicators, immediate mitigations, agency-specific references, and the next scheduled update. Approval paths should match the clock speed of incidents. Small groups with delegated authority rather than broad committees, so messages clear quickly. When responders fill in facts rather than invent format, the first communication leaves in minutes, not hours, and subsequent updates follow the same pattern. Over time, templates also reinforce consistency across events, making it easier for external readers to compare conditions and act without decoding each organization's style. Consider a concrete example that shows the sequence in motion. Credential misuse is detected when a privileged service account mints tokens from two distant locations minutes apart. The correlation rule flags an improbable travel pattern. The first notice names the account class, time window, and immediate mitigations, token revocation, key rotation, and heightened logging, along with the plan to retest protections after rotation completes. The second message, roughly an hour later, confirms that no exfiltration indicators appeared in the adjacent logs, that segmentation blocks were temporarily tightened, and that downstream systems depending on the account were verified. Stakeholders can act. Agencies monitor for similar patterns, providers validate their edges, and customers assess dependent services. The narrative remains factual, paced, and oriented to action without conjecture about the underlying cause that engineers are still proving. Coordination rarely ends at the organization's boundary. Upstream providers and downstream customers need to align containment steps so one party's fix does not become another's outage. Providers can supply telemetry or apply network-level controls that a tenant cannot, while customers can apply data layer constraints or credential rotations under their authority. Communication that frames requests as specific, testable actions. Block these endpoints for this window. Rotate these keys and confirm handshake hashes. Temporarily disable this integration. Reduces friction and prevents slow, ambiguous back and forth. Coordinated containment makes the risk window smaller for everyone and avoids dueling narratives about who acted and when, which is often more damaging than the initial technical flaw. Tracking commitments is how a program proves it kept its word during stressful hours. Each promise, an update cadence, a retest window, a final closure statement, should land in a single tracker with owner names and timestamps. When the schedule slips, the next update should say so plainly and reset expectations with reasons that make sense to readers. Closure is a state, not a feeling, and it is reached when replication steps fail, monitoring shows no recurrence across a watch period, and dependent controls are restored to baseline. The tracker becomes the post-event reference point, allowing any stakeholder to reconstruct the sequence and confirm that the organization met both its operational and reporting obligations. Respecting privacy rules and contractual disclosure clauses during communications protects people and preserves legal posture. Incident notes should minimize personal data and avoid exposing secrets in the name of speed. Redaction can coexist with useful specificity when identifiers and timelines are carefully handled. Contracts often dictate who is notified, within what time frame, and in which format, while statutes may define breach thresholds and content requirements. By pairing legal guidance with pre-approved templates, responders stay inside guardrails without paralyzing nuanced debates. The goal is to speak plainly about what happened and what is being done while avoiding gratuitous detail that increases harm or violates agreed boundaries. Post-incident improvements in policy updates are the capstone that turns a painful episode into stronger posture. A short improvement memo should state which detection worked, which alert was noisy, how escalation performed, and which procedural gaps slowed the first hour. Policy updates might tighten thresholds, adjust notification triggers, or formalize an exemption discovered during the event. Linking each improvement to a verification activity, rule tuning sessions, tabletop drills, or controlled retests prevents the familiar cycle where lessons are noted and then fade. These updates also become part of the next authorization conversation, demonstrating that the organization not only responds to incidents, but learns from them in ways that matter. A simple memory cue keeps the team oriented when adrenaline is high. Notify fast, speak truth, coordinate, improve. Notify fast means the first message goes out as soon as the facts of scope and mitigation are coherent, not after the last log is parsed. Speak truth means stick to observed events and declared times, avoiding speculation dressed as certainty. Coordinate means bring providers and customers into the loop with specific actions framed for their authority. Improve means capture what changed because of the event and prove it with follow-up evidence. Repeating this cue at the end of each shift keeps the narrative honest and the cadence steady. In conclusion, reporting incidents promptly and properly is as much about disciplined communication as it is about technical forensics. The sequence-clear triggers, secure channels, fact-only early notices, preserved evidence, timely updates, and documented improvements builds trust with agencies, providers, customers, and leadership. Obligations are met when messages arrive on time, align with contracts and laws, and help others act without delay. The next action is immediate and low friction. Rehearse the notification plan. A brief drill that uses the templates, the contact matrix, and a realistic scenario will surface stale addresses, ambiguous approvals, and timing snags while the sky is blue. Fix those now, and the next real notification will read like confident craft rather than hurried improvisation. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.